Pig Trail Nation's Mike Irwin joining us today on a Monday. Always appreciate your time. Mike, how was your weekend?
What's up, guys?
Yeah. How was your weekend, man? Basketball. They keep winning games. It's going to make everybody happy.
Yeah, it was a big week. Look, I don't know how they did what they did at Vanderbilt. It was, I guess that was Brazil just going nuts. And then I think Jonas Adu. And you guys, I remember telling you that Adu is a key because he can score. I think he was more aggressive, in that final game against Mississippi State, and they had to have everything he did. 21 points. If somebody had told me that he would ever score 21 points in a game, I'd be satisfied with 8 or 9. But they needed that because, honestly, their defense, with the improved offense we've seen, the defense has gone in the other direction. They gave up. That was the most number of points they'd given up in any game this year, and yet they won because they're scoring more. And it took all of that, but then it took a defensive play at the end, to save the game with Billy Richmond, who then apparently just went into total cramps at the end of the game and they had to carry him off the floor. I mean, it was just a great win. I don't think the atmosphere was very good. Again, Arkansas fans do not do well with 11 a.m. games. They just don't. It's a weird time to play. It would have been much better to play it in the middle of the afternoon or even early, 6 o'clock, but you got what you got. But they overcame all of that. And I think they're in, but now the debate starts with all these people, Goodman saying, oh, no, Arkansas has to win games in the tournament because he's a Cal hater. Anybody that knows anything about what the committee does, you can't – these people that are putting emphasis on what teams do in the conference tournament, there's only one way you improve yourself in a conference tournament, and that's if you win it. If you're on the bubble or trying to get in or not even on the bubble, if you win your conference tournament, you get in. But I think the committee, at the end of the regular season, starts formulating their brackets, and then they just sit back and see who pulls off upsets or whatever and makes the few adjustments they have to make. But they pretty much have it ready, on that selection Sunday, so they're ready to go.
Hey, Mike, I know the Bigs at South Carolina, we were 4-1 in our last 5 regular season, and the South Carolina's the game that guide us. And the Bigs, they got a challenge, that's for sure. But I want to talk about the play of Wagner. It's just so efficient. I thought he had probably his best game in this last 5-game stretch as well against Mississippi State.
Yeah, that three-pointer he hit late. There was 2 or 3 things that won the game, but that was one of them. That was huge. I mean, they had to have that. So you're right. He did step up. But here's the thing. I mean, you got to look at the way these guys are responding to kind of the message they've been given. And the message they were given is, don't ever give up. Don't ever believe you're beat. It's not over till it's over. And they, I counted those guys out so many times, including last week. And I thought they were going to lose that last game to Mississippi State. Now, I thought they would still get in, but now I don't think there's any question that they're going to get in. Lenardi's he's already got a bracket up. He's got Arkansas going to Lexington and playing Kansas as a 10 seed, Kansas a 7 seed. If they win that game, they'd have to play Alabama. Now, Razorback fans are already talking, hey, why can't we go to Wichita? That certainly would be a better place to go. But how much does this guy know? I don't know. Maybe he's already been told what the basic flesh-out bracket is, and he knows stuff. We'll have to wait and see.
If I can look at the way the team is constructed right now, we have seen individual fabulous performances by just about all of the 7 available players throughout this 8-5 stretch. I mean, all of them. Brazil against Vandy, Knox really throughout this stretch, Ivisic a few games here and there. Nelly Davis has had a couple of those games. DJ just did, so did Jonas Adu. That's one thing to think about here. It's not a team that has to be, led by 1 or even 2 players, because all 7 of them at times have had the kind of performance where you feel, this guy or these 2 guys have led us to this win here.
Well, again, it's a remarkable coaching job that whole staff has done, because it just seemed like the more people they lost, the better they got. I still think a lot of people are saying that Flan might come back. That's certainly not anything official or even, it's not, I don't know where they're coming up with this. These are fans that are, acting like they know something. But to me, Thiero is the guy they need back. I think part of the problem with inside scoring, and that's where Arkansas has really dropped off defensively, is teams are just driving them around them and getting that inside shoulder, and then coming up with the off shoulder and putting it off the backboard and where it can't be blocked, and they're scoring a lot of points that way. Or then you get people double teaming down low and they'll kick it out to the 3-point line and somebody's wide open. I just think Thiero would really help them defensively if he were able to come back. I don't know if he can or not.
What's the latest on Big Z? He had, what did he have? 11 points last game. I think he had about the same the game before against Vandy. Do you think the film's out on him? Is he healthy? How do you think Big Z's handling on?
Well, you see him kind of being pulled out of games late, but then he comes back in. I do think what it appears to be is he's got some sort of a back problem. Maybe it's just sore, so they're trying not to play him a whole lot. But that's worked out because that puts Brazil and Adu out there more. So he's played well. I mean, he's kind of backed off those 3-point shots a little bit and started scoring inside, which I like to see. But he's inconsistent, I think next year this guy could be really, really good. But it's just, when you start looking at this team, it's like what Phil said. Everywhere you look, there's just a guy steps up here, a guy steps up there. They've just done whatever it takes. I mean, I've never seen a team that was more dead in the water than this team more than once, and they just don't go away.
Well, and like truthfully, the thing that right now brings it all together is Adu. You get a guy that can defend the way that he can defend, and I don't expect 21 points out of him every game. I think this is the 4th game of his career where he scored 20 or more, but at least to be an option on the offensive side and to stay on the court. Like, they didn't get him to come off the bench and play 32 minutes. They got him to start and play 32 minutes, but he's been coming off the bench at times because he's been inconsistent with this injury, and now it doesn't really feel like he is that. So it's not to point one guy out, but to me, he's kind of a thing that can bring it all together.
Well, I think he's got confidence now. I think that's why he was able to score 21 points, because he was more aggressive. How many times have we seen them get the ball to him down low, and you're like, come on, man, put it up. Don't kick it back outside. Well, he didn't do that this time, and maybe that's a good sign. He needs to keep doing that. That's what I'll say about that.
Yeah. Last thing, football. Spring practice starts today. A couple things that you're paying attention to, because we'll be talking about it throughout this month too.
Yeah, I've been paying attention to that reworked offensive line. Pittman had his pre-spring press conference, and he was really playing those guys up. He said this is the best portal job they've ever done with O-line. Good enough that they feel like they can move Cremona inside. He was supposed to be their big left tackle last year, and he struggled at times. And anytime you think you can move him inside and you've got somebody else you can put out there, that's good. They've got options. They might use him at center. I think he said we've got much better depth in the O-line, which that's always good because it gives you options. So that's part of it. The other part of it, though, is you got a quarterback that's going to be throwing to almost an entirely new group of receivers, and we know that Taylon Green likes to have his favorites. So he's got to figure out, and Pittman said that, we got to figure out who our go-to guys are. But there's no question that they have more depth. And then he started talking about tight end. And, that was a problem where, to me, that started with your tight ends coach. I don't think he was very happy with some of those guys. And so they went out and brought in some portal guys. And I think, at least right now, Pittman seems to be real happy with that. And then running back, you brought Russell back, but now where do you go beyond that? And then I think the final thing he talked about was they got this April portal thing opening up, and they've got 1 or 2 spots where they can still go get people. But he said, I don't think we're going to get anybody offensively. We're set on the offensive side. Need to get one more interior defensive lineman and one more guy in the secondary. So, but again, we'll have to wait and see. I like the fact that they're going to have a spring game when there's all this talk about, the spring game is outdated, it's not good, blah, blah, blah. I hate that idea. I think that fans like spring games, so we're going to have one. And he's opened up practice again. I wasn't sure he'd do that, but the early schedule that we got, we're able to watch the whole thing with some shooting of it. And he's just got those 2 rules. You can't report injuries, and you can't report specific conversations that you hear. If a coach yells something at a player, you're not supposed to put that on there. But if you follow a few rules like that, it sure helps you do your job a lot better.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.